Football is back, and BetOnline is your number one information source for all your sports wagering info with all the up-to-the-minute stats, news, scores, and matchup breakdowns. Get the latest game odds, spreads, and totals from the NFL and college football at your fingertips with BetOnline's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. From week one all the way to the college football playoff and Super Bowl, BetOnline gives you access to the best promotions and contests available anywhere online. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Remember, use our promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. It is the Arizona Cardinals centric specific show where, of course, we talk about the Arizona Cardinals here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. I am one of your co-hosts. I am Javon J. Love Adams, and with me is a man who not only played professional baseball, but he also played in the National Football League on that first Super Bowl bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. I am talking about none other than author and motivational speaker, in addition to my brother, Ed Easy Smith. What is good, my brother?
Hey, another one in the books, man. This season's clipping along. A lot of questions about this game, man. A lot of questions.
Yeah, let's get into that. Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. Of course, we do this thing twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. Monday, we look back on the game that just happened. And then on Thursdays, we look ahead to the next game. And so as we look back, we're talking about the week 5 matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals and the Arizona Cardinals. The Cincinnati Bengals came to State Farm Stadium, and they were victorious 34-20. This game was essentially almost like a pick 'em. It was the Bengals -3. There was some uncertainty around the starting quarterback, the star quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, and his calf. It looked like that calf was pretty good, that it was at least healed enough, or he was motivated enough to come out with that victory. Him and Jamar Chase. We talked about that short passing game. We're gonna get into all that, man. Let's get into this stuff. Let's get into it, because I was there in the building. And I sound like a broken record. So this is the way that on our radio show, which we do every Saturday from 1 to 3 Eastern on Sports Map Radio. You can go to sportsmapradio.com. But where you say back in my day or back in the day, and you try to find a different term. This is the third game that I've been to this season. Second regular season game. The other one was the Broncos in the preseason. And I'll tell you this much, man. I didn't think that there were that many Cincinnati Bengals fans. I'll say that. I didn't think there were that many Cincinnati Bengals fans, because they came and it was loud. At first I'm thinking, because the colors, I'm not seeing a whole lot of the colors, but on the first drive, when the Cardinals were on their first drive, and it got to third down, and then it got real loud, and I said, oh. I completely understand now. We have been the nest has been invaded again. But your thoughts on this game? I got some, from the run sheet. Your thoughts on this game from a high level, and then we'll kind of break it down into its little bits and pieces.
Well, a couple things. First, let's talk about the crowd takeover. If you're in, we live in Arizona, right? And this is a Cincinnati team, Cincinnati, Ohio, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If we lived in Chicago, you would say a lot of people migrated from Ohio to Illinois. It's not that far, right?
Yeah,
so you can expect a whole bunch of people maybe. Yeah. When you're way out here in Arizona, you're not expecting that many people from Cincinnati, Ohio, or Bengals fans to be able to come over here and take over your stadium. That's the crazy part. And we're seeing it at other places too, because I watched the Philly LA Rams game yesterday. And I said, damn, are they in Philly or are they in Los Angeles? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So we know fan bases travel. But what's happening, though, is this is becoming such a recurring thing where, you can't have every team's representing. It doesn't matter who we play. Our stadium's being taken over, and I don't know whether that's a disservice by our fan base, who they're buying the tickets and then selling them on the second market, or we're just catching a bad break, and there's just a lot of people that live in all these other cities or all these other fan bases that just happen to be here. I don't know, but it's crazy. The other thing, you watch the game, And as it was unfolding, you and I initially we thought it was going to be, because Joe Burrow seemed to be hobbled coming into this game. He looked like Popeye that got that spinach in, and because it was like,
Oh man.
I mean, he was out there scrambling. He all of a sudden now he was throwing deep. Everything that he has not done to this point in the season, he
Right.
was able to do yesterday. He looked like the real Joe Burrow who signed that who deserved that big, huge contract, and they looked like a team that had Super Bowl aspirations.
46 pass attempts, 36 for 46, 317 yards for Joe Burrow.
And they also, I mean, let me see, they
3
They
touchdowns,
also
1
ran. They also
interception.
ran the ball. They ran the ball 30 times as well. So it wasn't
Mhm.
like it was too lopsided. The
Yeah.
other thing, Jay, at what point, and we talk about adjustments, right? At what point are you going to
Okay.
double and bracket Jamar Chase? It was like this dude it was 7-on-7 drill out there.
Yeah.
They let him catch the ball in front of him. Then all of a sudden we saw him go deep over the top, which that might have been a surprise because we haven't seen that to this point. But at what point, I mean, the man had 15 catches for 192 yards. At what point do we decide, let's make an adjustment? Let's find him on wherever he is in the formation and bracket him or do something. So this was a disappointment in terms of our approach. Maybe they caught us off guard because they haven't shown this explosiveness or ability to throw the ball up the field or escapability of Burrow. But at some point, we had to take those tablets that they pay all that money for and sit around and huddle on the sideline and say, hey, we're going to make some changes to what we're doing. That was the biggest disappointment for me. We made not one adjustment defensively to try to stop Cincinnati. And then we made some bonehead calls and stuff like that. This was one of those, whoa, okay, take a step back games for us.
Now, yeah, so let's get into that a little bit more. So when the end of there were a few things that kind of got to me. One, Joshua Dobbs kind of took a little bit of he took a step back. You can't expect him to play as well as he's played all. I would say consistently as he's played all season. He definitely took a step back. So you can't. There's no denying that. But one of the things that got to me was at the end of the first half play calling, that where they had the turnover, but they got the turnover on downs. They had the ball. They were out of their own end zone, right? And they were getting ready to drive. And so the first play was almost like a tush push of sorts to get a little bit to get on like the 2-yard line. And so you're thinking, all right, we're going to run the ball a little bit to either try to get to the point where you can punt the ball and try to flip the field, or we're going to try to get that first down and then see what we can do towards the end of the half. They threw the ball. They called a play. They called a passing play. That ended up being a pick six, and that what was once what the Cardinals were leading, what was once 14-10, it ended up flipping to the Bengals now being in the lead. And I thought that was bad decision making by Joshua Dobbs, but also poor play calling. What were your thoughts on that one?
Absolutely, there was zero reason to do what they did right there. And if you are going to throw the ball, something a little safer than that. I don't understand. In the end zone, there's too much that can happen, that deep in your own territory. And as you mentioned, hey, let's play some field position. We got away from the goal line. Let's run a couple plays, even if we just try to chew some clock and then get it punted out of there, maybe try to play some defense. Don't give him that was such a momentum shifter, Jay, that it killed. I can only imagine the air going out of, because for me, I was just like, what did I just see that? And then you know what it's like, Jay? It's like a boxer that gets hit on the chin and dazed a little bit. And then it's like, okay, is he gonna make it out of this round? And it was, it was like the wobbly legs. It felt like the wobbly legs for the Cardinals after that play. A lot of shock and dismay, not just by the fans in the stands, and it also gave the Bengals fans uproar. These Cardinals fans are shaking your head. Same thing going for the players. The players are now standing there with their hands up, like, what did we just do? Defensive players, offensive guys, now that was just something. You talk about a big momentum shift for no reason at all. And I don't know, was it inexperience in that position, panic.
Man.
You can throw out all the adjectives. It was one of those head scratchers that just did not make any sense. And I'm sure, the coaching staff, they'll, look at Dobbs and say, why did you throw that ball? And then we can look and say, well, how did you guys call that play?
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, there's enough blame to go around for that one for sure. So that was one play. Then there was we start the second half. The Cardinals come the Bengals, they get a touchdown. It's 24-14. The Cardinals, they get a touchdown. Then it's 24-20. They missed the extra point. So then it stays 24-20. Now then they get an interception. That one interception by Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is intercepted. The Cardinals have the ball. So I'm thinking at that point in time, just get some points. Get some points because your defense has done their job. They've intercepted the quarterback. Let's get some points. They had an opportunity to get some points. They had what they had. It was a 5-play, 49-play drive, 5-play, 49-yard drive. They decided to go for it on fourth down. In real time, I said, don't do it. Don't do it. There was somebody that was sitting to the left of me said, go for it. Go for it. I'm thinking, no, man. No, you don't. You take these points because don't try to chase points and try to figure out because you missed that extra point. No, get the points, make it 24, it would have been 24-23 at that time, and then you figure it out from there. They go for it, they miss it, then the Bengals get a touchdown. I thought that is what I thought killed the game right there. I know the end of the first half, I get it. That was definitely a momentum thing. That makes you that frustrates you, because now you have to claw back. But you were still be in the game, and from that point, I think it was done. What were your thoughts when you saw that play or that whole sequence of events?
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. As you mentioned, they started chasing points. They missed the extra point, and then now we don't want to settle for the field goal. We're not a team that can give any points away. We have to take what we can get. And once again, as you mentioned, that was like the ultimate, when that happens, like game, set, match, especially after, Cincy gets the ball, because you could tell Cincy started figuring their stuff out. And the only thing I can say, Jay, is maybe the Cardinals, and here I mentioned it earlier, it's like we didn't make any adjustments, right? We weren't stopping them. We weren't done. Maybe they just felt like, okay, well, we can't stop them, so we got to try to match them. You can't have that mentality. You got to, at some point, you have to start making your adjustments to stop them. We never, and it was almost like panic mode. Well, we don't know what to do because we can't stop them from scoring the ball, so we can't kick field goals. We gotta go ahead and get 7 because you gotta kick that field goal and make the adjustments on the other side of the ball. When you start doing stuff on the offensive side to counteract the fact that you can't do anything on the defensive side, and you can't have that kind of outlook. You have to figure out what to do on the other side of the ball. So you take those points, figure out how to stop them, and like I said, we never made any adjustments. And part of that for you, when you do those plays, those head scratchers going forward on fourth down, sometimes that really is panic mode, and that's what that felt like. That felt like panic of, we cannot figure out a way to stop them, so we got to go for the touchdowns because we can't just get 3. And that just backfired on them. That was the real nail in the coffin for me at that time of the game.
All right, so Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. There were, if we look at I want to look at the rushing totals. So the Arizona Cardinals, they rushed for, where was I at? They rushed for
22 times.
Is it? Wait a minute. Okay, I was looking at rush yards. So, it was 142 yards total rushing for the Arizona Cardinals. But Connor was doing a decent job, and he goes out injured. He gets injured, doesn't come back. We have Jalen Thompson on the defensive side of the ball, of course, in that secondary. He gets injured. They're already thin when we think about the secondary. So the safety and the cornerback positions. Is that any excuse to not adjust when Jamar Chase? Now, this is, you are the man who watches football different. Matter of fact, I was going to stop by your house on Saturday to watch a little bit of college football to be able to understand how you watched the game after we were done. After I was done, like ripping and running a little bit, but the adjustments. You keep seeing they're going either on out to the right side or out to the left side. And Jamar Chase, he's getting targeted left and right. He's racking up these yards. I've said it. This has been a recurring theme for me so far this season. Sometimes the conservative play calling, but most specifically the lack of adjustments, not the adjustments in game. You see it's happening. Let's see what we can do to switch it. Are injuries any excuse for that?
No, that's lack of just experience. What that is, because when you're talking about making adjustments in the game, that when you let me see, how do I explain this? All week, a team is going off of they're watching film, they're looking at what the other team is doing. And we know the other team's going to come in here with some wrinkles and stuff like that. But you can only go off their tendencies. How you break film down, what you normally do is you look at the last 3 games of a team, and you also look at maybe the last time, especially in their division, if the last time you played them, because it's your personnel, that type of thing. Or sometime you'll take a similar offense to yours, and if you have to go further back in your archives. But most of the time, it's the last 3 games and the last time you played this opponent. And then what you do is you figure out, okay, this is what they've been doing. This is how they handle their coverage on this. When they come out in these packages, these are the plays they run. This is the personnel they use for these down and distance. So you have all these things. These are in your bag, right? So what happens is you come out, and then all of a sudden, well, they're doing some different things. And that's why you have the people up in the booth, right? Right? Because they're looking down, they're tracking all the different, for every formation. Every time they come out for a play, they're running 12 packers. They got 1 tight end, 2 backs. They're doing this. So we're tracking that throughout the game. So now we're getting new information. Now we're watching, hey, they're doing new formations or different formations. They're doing different motions. They're running plays like, so now they're, what you're watching, imagine this, last few weeks you've watched, everything Jamar Chase has done has been up front because Burrow could not stand back there in the pocket, right?
Right.
So, and I mentioned, hey, let's take some shots on some of those pass plays, try to get a pick six, So now they come out, and it looks like Burrow's healthy. He's back there taking deeper drops. He's actually moving around a little better. Jamar Chase is getting up the field a little more. They're throwing. So now, okay, wait a minute. All the stuff that we practiced for during the week, now look, they're not doing that dink and dunk stuff, and they're moving Jamar around, and he's actually getting up the field. So what we thought about jumping some of the routes and hold off now. Okay, now we got to play this a little more traditional. They got a number 1 receiver already. He's killing us. Let's start bracketing him a little bit. Let's have somebody up front, a little bump and run, take him off course a little bit, and we're going to have some coverage over the top. So we can take away the intermediate stuff, the short stuff, and we got somebody protecting us over the top. They just kept running the same coverages for the 46 pass plays that Joe Burrow had. It was like they made no adjustment to, hey, let's start bracketing him or doing this. They were still trying to cover him with, I guess, a zone coverage with nobody over the top, or let's man up on him with no protection over top, because you saw him run by us one time. It was like they didn't, like I said, I'm joking about it, but I don't want to say back in our day.
There was a time when
I was playing, they would send those pictures down.
Yes.
You see the
guys on the sidelines looking at
coaches and the players, and then we'd be flipping through picture, and it was frame by frame. This is how they started. This was their front. This is the routes they run. So you're going picture by picture, right? Now they got the tablet, so they can actually watch in person live. They're running the plays over there on, like, in real time. They're running, okay, when they're getting in this formation, they're running this. They're running these combo patterns where, and the Chase is just running free through the middle of the field. We got to start running this coverage to combat that. So you should have saw them over there swiping left on these tablets, swiping left, and just saying, hey, let's change up our coverage. It was like they just, it was like, well, eventually they're going to go back to doing what they did when we saw on film, so we're just going to stay in this. They made no adjustments at all, Jay. And that's the part where it's almost, okay, imagine this. You study, you found out you're taking the test, right?
Yeah.
And your buddy had the same test in the the day before, because he takes the class. So he told, this is all the answers on the test. He might even had it for you. Here is the test. This is what you're going to see tomorrow.
I
So
may
you
or
look
may
at
not
that.
have done that before. I may
Man,
or may
man.
not.
So you look at it, right? You got this. Hey, answer 10. Number 10 is B. Number 11, you've got it in your mind. Question number 11, that's C. That's 12 is A. So you got it in your mind, right?
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
in the class, and the teacher is smarter than us. And what do they do, Jay? They give you a new test, not with the same one that the kids had the day before. So now you're looking at it and you're like, wait a minute, no, and well, I don't know. They changed that. They changed the test up on you, Jay, and that's what
Yeah.
Cincinnati did. So we cannot prepare like we know the answers for the test. We got to prepare like we know everything that might come up. If we study and then be able to make the adjustments, then we'll know we'll score we'll get an A on that test. But if you go in there thinking this is exactly what we're going to see and they flip-flopping on you, then you're in trouble. And that's what happens. We're not ready to make those adjustments and figure out, this is what we now have to do. And it's a learning process. So we can't be mad at them, because you can't be mad at a fourth grader because he doesn't know advanced trigonometry. We got to give them some time. We got to let them grow into it. And that's exactly what coaching in the NFL is. So they'll eventually get it. This was an opportunity. This was one of those times, though, where we just got exposed.
I get it, but I guess if it was a player, if it's a player, the coaches are going to be irate with that player because you're making these mistakes. This is week 5. You shouldn't be making these mistakes, right? So when you look at the defensive coordinator, Nick Rollis, so it's on him to be able to hold his staff accountable to the players, the coaches underneath him, to make sure, and then for Jonathan Gannon to therefore go to Nick and say, Nick was good. Plus, Jonathan Gannon is a defensive guy, so Jonathan Gannon should be saying, hey, man, we need to make sure that we are we're tightening these things up. The GM should be going to Jonathan Gannon and saying, what's going on with your folks? It just seems that I wonder if this continues,
Jay.
if we're still seeing this in week 11, would that raise a big red flag for you? Or if we're seeing this week 3 next season, would that be the red flag?
Next, see, this is a rookie campaign for the head coach. You got to remember too. You bring up the fact that Gannon is a defensive guy too, right? What do we always talk about, Jay? The head coach is responsible for everything.
This is true.
So he's no longer just a defensive coordinator. So he's got to make all in-game decisions, monitor everything that's going on. That's why he has coordinators. Some coaches can be offensive coordinator / head coach, or defensive coordinator / head coach. Those are the ones that have a lot of experience and are really good at it. We saw what happened with Kingsbury, him sitting over there trying to figure everything out and failing the test, and at the same time, everything around him was burning as well. So this is an opportunity for Gannon. Obviously, he's got his coordinators in place. He's going to have to learn, now this is how many times have you, when things were going well over in New England, and the reason he never had to worry about the offense because he had Tom Brady, but how many times will we see Belichick when things were going haywire with the defense, or if he just saw something because of his genius, he would be over there working with them, huddling with them while stuff was going on behind him because he knew he could trust the offense on the field. And just, it's a whole process. It's not just, well, we got to do this, we got to do that. It is a all hands on deck kind of situation. And until the head coach figures it out, the entire thing out, now sometime he'll get his side of the ball corrected first, but then you also have to have the talent too. There's so many things that are going on, Jay. So they've overachieved a little bit in the first few games. We're seeing a little step back because they're playing better competition over these last few weeks. They did get the win against Dallas, but yeah, it's a process. Now if we're 2 years into this, at the end of next year, and we're still like, what the hell are they doing? Then you start to have problems. In the rookie season for these head coaches, their heads are swimming, bro. From just like as a player, I remember going from playing in the World League to all of a sudden I'm playing in the NFL. And even though I was older, I was, still, man, you're talking about studying a playbook and trying to figure it out. And then, you get to the line and there's checks and there's different responsibilities, blitz pickups. And then I didn't have to worry about that in the World League. I went to the line of scrimmage And we might have had one blitz or something like that, but I knew where the routes I was going to run, and man, all of a sudden now I'm the hot route. What the hell's a hot route? I got blitz pickup. Yeah, you get to the league, bro. I mean, there's a reason why it's the best of the best, and that stuff moves fast, bro. And that's just not for players, it's for coaches too.
I'd have been that dude that as soon as they hiked the ball, especially if they were trying to call all these different audibles and stuff, when the ball was hiked, I would have still been in my stance. Just if I just don't move, maybe they won't even yell at me because I don't know. I don't want to do the wrong thing. But so Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. So let's leave me with this though. So that you mentioned it a little bit, and so I put it in our show notes here. Did this game chip away at some of either the confidence or your belief in this team overall? I'm talking about coaches and players and all that stuff, developing something, not for this season, but for the following season? Or was this just one of those, just that journey in the process, that part in the process where you have a hiccup or you take a little minor step back?
Jay, I had somebody yesterday, half hour after the game, send me a text. Is it time for tune? I'm like, and it's for me,
minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And to answer your question, that's the mentality of a fan or something. Like, people don't see the big picture.
They panic.
They panic. For me, bruh, they've done well over these first few games, even represented out in San Fran. Look what San Fran did to Dallas yesterday.
Woo! And, and by the way, okay, the dude.
Thank you,
Purdy. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Continue,
you see it now. Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
All right. So for me, it's like, okay, wait a minute. They represented well to this point. It's not a finished product. It's not even the roster. We talk about this team could be tanking just before the season started. They were representing. You go out there, you're playing against better rosters, coaches with way much more experience than us. Mm-hmm. A hostile environment at home. I mean, you factor in all these things. I'm not ready to even. I mean, they had a stinker. We thought from day one they would be stinkers, every one of them. So the fact that they've been playing well, you cannot all of a sudden, because they've been playing well, now our expectations have changed. Oh my God, what are they out there doing? We should be winning these games. Nah, as long as we're out there, not now. Here's the thing: we looked confused. We definitely looked confused, and that might have played into. Remember, I always talk about when you're free in mind and when you know what you're supposed to be doing, you flow. Everything is good. When you're confused and the other team is jabbing you and you and the coaches and everybody, because I can imagine in those huddles, the players are coming off and they're like, with their hands up, and the coaches they're flipping through the tablet, and everybody's trying to. And hey, defense up. It's like we haven't even figured out what God. So they're right back out there, and it's so. I mean, it's just a bad. Just remember too. We got tricked into thinking that Cincinnati they stunk. We saw the potential of every. Yeah, we fell for the okie doke. We actually I picked this damn. I picked the Cardinals to win. Well, with the beginning of the season, we were just like, man, this is a hell, So Cincinnati came in here, did what they were supposed to do. They looked like they're supposed to look all year long. Yet we're thinking, oh my God, we stink, and we played against a much better team, MVP type quarterback against. Okay, if we went position by position, Jay, and matched ours against theirs. Right. Our offensive line is just as bad as their offensive line. Okay, at times, right?
Right.
Their quarterback, Joshua Dobbs, Joe Burrow. Who are you gonna pick? Okay, their wide receiver group. One of their wide receivers had more catches than our entire group combined. Woo! Their running back, maybe an even mix, but mixing. What I'm saying is, you run down and match this up on paper, and the score and how it turned out is exactly how it should have turned out. We just got spoiled over the last few weeks because they have been playing well, and all of a sudden now we think, there's a way that we could actually win some games and get into the playoffs probably because we're playing. Come on now. This team is what it is, and we saw what it is yesterday, and we saw what the coaching staff is yesterday. But we can't bail on them because they're actually it's a better product, one, than we thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to give them time, players and coaches. You got to give them opportunity to get some of these reps and things under their belt, some of these experiences. We're always better when we go through things the first and second times, right? So as they continue to progress, because they're going to learn. We got those tablets aren't just for fun on the sidelines. We got to start using those things a little bit, you know. So I'm not disappointed at all. I'm disappointed because I almost fell for it as well.
Yeah.
In terms of, hey, you know,
I thought it should have been more competitive. That's been the theme so far for both of us is compete. I didn't think that they competed as well as they had in the previous games.
Well, San Fran showed us how big the talent gap was, but we still maintained. It was almost like San Francisco was just playing with us a little bit, you know, they just methodically. Whereas Cincinnati came over here and they put it on us. They actually whooped us. And we're not used to seeing that so far. We were the whoopee against Dallas. We took a beating against San Fran, but it wasn't one of those, you know, you take a beating sometimes like that wasn't so bad. You know, you can still sit down, you know. This is one of those ones where Pop came in. He got into it, boy. He got into that tuss. You can't even sit down after this one. But, you know, it is what it is. We learn from these experiences.
All right. So that is Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams, and this is Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. Make sure you tell a friend about what we have going on here. We do it twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays, we look back at the game that was, and we break that down and give our thoughts. And then Thursday, we look ahead to the next the next week's to that week's opponent to break that down as well. And so, as always, we are presented by Bet Online, and as we always like to say around this time, you can